And welcome. Great seeing you. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I really appreciate it. My name's Celso. I'm a founder here at Pixie. Here with me is Matt. Matt just joined the team a few weeks ago, so it's really exciting to having join us as well. And yeah, we just thought that would be a really good idea to address some of the questions that came up about Pixie features, etc. And Matt will just run you through that. I'll sit in the background, and if there are any questions, I'll be able to take them on into the chat as well. So without any further delay, Matt, the stage is yours. Go for it.
Thanks, Elsa. Appreciate the intro. Hi, everyone. My funny accent is I'm an Australian, but I am here in London. It's just starting to get a bit sunny, which is nice. It was beautiful earlier. Went back to classic London weather. Now it's sunny again. So I'm just going to chat everybody here in the chat box. I'm saying I'm tuning in from semi-sunny London. Let me know where you're tuning in from. We might just give it a minute or two, just let a few others trickle in. And what we'd really like is if you guys can ask questions along the way. Now, I've got a bunch of questions because I've got a second screen behind my laptop here, so I can go through all the questions, and I've kind of grouped them together. So kind of make it systematic. I've kind of trying to make it a little bit easier on everybody. And for those who aren't here, we're going to record this. It's being recorded now, so you can always share it around with team members or look at it again later on as well. Perfect. I can see a few people in from the US, from the UK. That's great. And I'm going to share my screen soon, but what I'm thinking of doing is also just putting links into the chat so people can see them. For example, if I've got a resource to share or something that comes up in passing and we're talking about that particular point then and there, I'll try and give you the best content for it so you can take that away as well. I've got a little trusty notepad here, which I will follow along. I've taken a couple of notes that I want to just make sure I nail all those points, and we will then just sort of dive into it. Now, please try and hold back from questions, I guess, until towards the end. You can just ask them if you'd like. There is a chat box, which is more for just, hello, I'm tuning in from X, Y, and Z. But we've got the Q&A box, which Celso and myself can try and answer as we go along. And I can sort of, I guess we can talk about them out loud as well if we come to the end, and there's several waiting to be answered there too. Try and keep this 45 minutes if we can, but I'm happy to stay a little longer just so we can get everything done. All right, I'm going to share my screen and we'll jump into it. Thanks to Jordan, has nicely put together the slides for me. I am completely inept at putting together slides, but I do like presenting and I love having a chat. So welcome to the Pixie Academy. We're going to go through tips, tricks, and Q&A here today. Now, I hope everyone can see my screen. Let me know if you can't, but if you can, awesome. As Celso introduced me before, my name's Matt. I used to be an accountant for about 5 years in Australia, moved from accounting to Xero, was there for about a year or two, and then came across to the UK with Practice Ignition. Been there for about 2 years, and now here we are with Pixie. So I like to really get into the app world. And Celso, Jordan, the team have been fantastic, really enjoying myself. I think I've been here for about 6 weeks now, but it feels like a year. It's full frontal, but it's like lots of cool things to do. I'm not just doing the one thing, I'm doing a lot of things, which is great. I get to meet everybody, and a lot of those face-to-face chats. Most likely have met the majority of people on this call. If I haven't, I'm sure I will one day. I'm looking forward to it. All right. In everybody's Pixie account, whether you're in a trial or whether you've got a live account, you've got that Get Help button in the top right-hand side. It's really helpful when it comes to asking questions or checking out documentation. Now, something that's been launched recently is our community tab. Now, what I'm going to try and do is be really fancy, and I'm going to try and draw on my screen. Is that even possible? If not, yeah, I can. Cool. Okay, I'm going to annotate here. I've got that little GIF up the top pointing you in the right direction, but we've got this community button here. So if you'd like to log in there, ask questions amongst your fellow Pixie users. Most likely you've asked something similar to somebody else, or there is some really smart people using Pixie as well. I'm saying the majority of you are, because we really want to get you to chat to each other, ask those questions, get the best answers you can. We can help as much as possible by using this Talk to Us button here as well. We'll get back to you as quick as we can. It's just as good hearing it from someone else in here as well. So asking of your peers. We've got some great documentation, which I'm expanding on as we speak. So I'm trying my very best to get the most content out there to everybody, as is Jordan, as is Celso. So we're doing our best to really do kind of amalgamate all the information we're talking about today into some easy to comprehend documentation there too. I'll get back to the roadmap a little later on when we start talking about some of those features. But we've also got a pretty streamlined onboarding process here, which we can assist. You can do as we go along on the left-hand side. So we've got 4 or 5 different things, which again, we're trying to improve on as we go on down the track with our Pixie life. Okie dokie. Let's jump in and have some questions. And I'm going to go through a big list that I've got here, but I'm just going to jump into the app. And what I'm going to do is just move that thing off my screen. All right, cool. Okay, so let me just double check. So funny because I've got a second screen behind me. So sorry if my face is moving. Just give me 1 second. I love how I move something off the screen and now I can't see because my computer's blocking it. Just 1 sec. All right, there we go. Now I can actually see the Q&A box. Cool. All right, I'm going to add in a couple of resources straight off the bat. So if you're new to Pixie, or if you haven't seen absolutely everything to do with it and you don't want to look through heaps of resources, or you're sort of struggling to ask those questions to ask, I should say, look at this resource here. There's the chat button. So that, I've just pasted it in so everybody can see. That's an overview video, really comprehensive, that Jordan did on Pixie. Most of your questions can be answered in that, which is really helpful. So that's number 1. Point number 2, Jordan, again, absolute saint, has been going through and writing some really good documentation and putting together some great videos. They can be found in the video library for things like how to connect up Zapier, resources for connecting to other tools like Practice Ignition, Go Proposal, and one of those common tools that we hear about, or other apps. We can use that, follow those along, and we'll try our very best to get more content out there as well and run some other sessions like this. Sessions like this that we've run in the past can also be found in that video library. We've got a workflow library here. So this is an online portal where people within the industry and some other fantastic Pixie users have put their workflow templates for specific services they offer, or maybe some of the business tips that they've got. So if you'd like to utilize them, they're completely free. You can download them and import them straight into your Pixie account. And I'll show you where to put them later on into your Pixie account. It's just a simple upload. Sorry, I'm just going to put all of the resources in here together at the same time so they're easy for everyone to find. And again, at the end, we'll email these along with the recording as well. So if you can't click on them now, don't worry about it. You'll get them at the end. But I just like to lump them all together so we can find them in one safe place. Okie dokie, let's jump in and have some of these questions. So one of the very first questions I had was, where do I find videos and resources? We've just nailed that down. So I'm just going to tick that off my list there. And I'm going to start in the work tab, which is where we are right now. So I can see straight away that I've got a few things here that are overdue. That's just me making sure I go in there and set up my Pixie account from scratch. Now, the majority of you on the call are past this stage, so don't worry about that. A few things we can see within any of these tasks itself. Overdue button on the right. We can complete, reassign to another team member, snooze, or delete. Straight away, we can just knock them off. If we don't want to see them there, just move them on. And they'll be reassigned, snoozed, or done into one of these tabs at the top here. Okay. Now I'm also viewing everything on my plate. As you can see, I've got this filter list here. I don't like to see just what I've got, what to do today. I like to see what I've got in the future as well. So I like to just check that out there. And these are just for my tasks that are assigned to me. So we'll show you a bit later on if you're the boss, or if you're the admin of the business and you want to see everything around who's got what on their plate, who's at capacity, who needs some help with all the work they've got, who's really struggling. Maybe we can give a couple of pointers there about workloads and things like that too, and just seeing where everything is up to. Instantly, my eyes are drawn to these colorful tabs on the right-hand side. We call them labels. I like to kind of color them, make them as visible as possible so I can catch myself at a glance as to what I'm doing. For example, I've got bookkeeping work on the go for several clients. I've also got just an internal task. I need to call Carl by the end of the week, right? So I've just got that to do for me. As you can see, there's actually no client list in there. I get a lot of just thoughts going through my head at every time, and I think, oh, I forgot to do that again. I forgot to write that down. Chuck it in here as a task. Just click this add task button, punch out what you need to do. Don't set it to a client, and maybe label it for the end of the week, right? That'll then prompt you to make sure you follow that up by Friday. You can do one of two things when that's been done. You can just complete it by clicking the double tick on the right, or you can delete it if it's no longer required. Perfect. Something you might have noticed is I've got quite a lot of tasks to do. we've got this filter on the right-hand side here. Really great for pulling apart what we want to see a little bit clearer. If I click on that, maybe I want to see all my tags that I'm waiting for client records. I only got 2, awesome. So these are the ones I need to chase. Straight away, I've been able to optimize my viewing, and I know exactly what I need to do, more likely sooner rather than later. One of them's overdue, one of them's pretty much overdue, so I need to jump in there and do that. Now, what I can do is, on the other screen from clients, we can save these filters. I've been asked a lot about saving filters here. That's a really great question and something that we can add to the roadmap. It's been asked over and over again, so please just bump that up on the roadmap and we'll try and prioritize those in the future. At this stage, we can't save filters here, but what we can do is we can save the actual tab. So we're going to bookmark this tab, and every time we open that tab up again, it will come back to this saved filter. So that's a nice workaround for now. Okie dokie. Another cool thing we can do within here is actually filtering by the columns themselves. So I don't actually have to click that filter button. I might want to filter by due date, which it seems to be doing at this stage. You can also just go ahead and filter by client or task name as well. So if I want to alphabetize by my tasks, or I want to filter by clients, so if I clicked on that, straight away it's pulled my alphabetical clients to the top and everything else down there as well. There's the example. Perfect. Making sure I've ticked off everything I wanted to do on this page. And now I'm going to have a look at some of those questions that we've done. One of the questions was, best way to create a task. Good question. Again, we can do it from any screen, one of which is just adding this task button to something we can do on the fly. Or we've got this big red plus, which doesn't leave. So no matter what tab you're in, you can click that big red plus. We can send a new email, start a new task, add a client from any screen. So those are the ways that I recommend straight off the bat. I'll talk a little bit more about creating tasks from a template and mass scheduling them across your client base really quickly. Great. So as we can see, these are called tasks. All the little to-do lists, or rather all of the subtasks, I just said it there, they're subtasks within the main task itself. So that was another question to do with subtasks and tasks. How to best manage tasks that involve multiple team members? Great question. Something we can talk about a little bit more is the team tab. At this stage, we can't allocate tasks to multiple team members, but again, fantastic question, something that's been raised and can be added and bumped up in our roadmap. Okay, setting up recurring tasks. Awesome question again. So what we can do from a task template is I can create a template that recurs, or maybe I've got a piece of work in here that I've just created by clicking that add task button, which I'm going to do now. I'm going to label it to a client myself, and I'm going to bump it to the end of the month. So I have to get it done by then. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter by all. So now I can see that. If I scroll down, there it is. So let me click on that example. We're starting from a clean slate. Got nothing in here at this stage, and I'm not really one to start adding subtasks one at a time because I'm super lazy and I want to be efficient. So I'm going to click that apply additional template button. Let me go back. I might have done that a bit quick. We've got this apply existing template button down the bottom. I'm just going to grab a bookkeeping template that I might do on a monthly basis, or that it's just a really stock standard template for me to use. I'm going to click apply. Now I've got 3 subtasks on the left-hand side to work my way through. Okay. How do we make this recurring? Straight away, I want to make this a recurring thing, and I don't want to have to set it up again. 3 dots top right-hand side. If you can't see that because my face is covering the screen, it'll be okay. We can just rewatch the recording. We've got this make recurring as an option here. So as soon as I click that, now I can set up a frequency, and this will become a recurring task. Perfect. Okay, that was a good question. I can dance around this a little bit more. I've got some other things I wanted to take off while we're in here. Might as well stay in here and just keep going. Okay, how to create templates. Is there a way to come out of task and go back in? Yeah, awesome, good question. All right, so now that I'm in here, how do I create this as a template? Let's pretend that we created one from scratch and I've added in a subtask here as a 4th thing. And that's now going to become my template that I want to use for the rest of my clients. What I can do is, again, those 3 dots on the right-hand side, I can click. I would have been able to see make into a template, right? Because I've created a template, I can't make it an existing one. So what I'm going to do is give you a better example. I'll whip one up from scratch. Let's say this is going to be our super cool new template. To a client, leave it as today, save that task. Okie dokie. Let me find that there. Super cool new template. Awesome. let's say, put that in there, add that as a subtask. 3 dots, save as template. So now I can save this super cool new template as something that I can grab from my settings each and every time. I don't have to recreate it for every client. I just use it, assign it to my clients, and away I go. I can also apply an existing template to this. If this is just something I accidentally clicked subtask for and I want to just add something with a bit more structure, I can apply an existing template that I've already built. Maybe I thought, oh, why isn't there an email appearing here? Why haven't I got something to actually do from this screen? Advanced Task Editor allows me to add subtasks, add in deadlines, instructions for the team, create emails on the fly, and rearrange things as well. Really handy. But I don't like this, so I'm going to delete it. Okay, it's gone. Perfect. Let's have a look back at another example. I think this one here. Okay. First thing we've got here is an email to a client. I can always adjust the formatting if I want, because this is totally flexible. This is what we call a manual email, which came from a template. You can have automatic emails that just go off to clients like that. I get scared that sometimes, unless it's sending the exact same thing each and every time, and I'm very aware of what it is, like marketing collateral, sending them to a LinkedIn page, my website, something like that. I know there's nothing wrong with that, so I'm fine. I don't want to be sending automatic emails to clients and accidentally attaching something that I didn't need to send, or something going before I was ready. Completely up to you, but that's just how I am. So what I like to do is make those specific client emails manual. So what I can do is I can grab the client name. It's already pre-filled the name of the client, the name of the sender, and the due bar date. So these are placeholders, which I'll show you where we can find in our settings, create it once, use it every time, and away we go. What's this weird looking text here? That is a request portal. So I'm asking clients for their documents via a portal. Looks really slick. It's like this. But if I don't want them to see that big long text, what I can do is I can actually copy it. So what I'm going to do is click edit. So instead of having it as the text there, I might copy that. And maybe I wanted to paste it into this word. I can go like that, right? Click add link, and I'm just going to remove that. So it looks a little neater. So what I did was I just populated that into the writing itself. Totally up to you. Maybe I want to make that really bold and clear for my client. I'm going to highlight it in yellow, for example, so it stands out. Small things go a long way when doing this. So I'm going to send that off to the client. Maybe I want to attach a document for their reference. Here's how I get to there, something like that. I can also make this password protected. If I toggle this on the right-hand side, that adds the passphrase. That passphrase can be found from within the client file. Client file can be easily accessed here, just to the right-hand side of the client's name. I'll show you where to find that passphrase a little later on as well. So let's send that off to the client. It's gone to Matt, away it goes. First subtask has marked itself as complete. Maybe I'm ready to start processing this bookkeeping. So I'm just running through a scenario now where I'm ticking off a few of the questions as we've gone in my spreadsheet here. And one of those is actually how to create these as checklists. Now it's a feature within what we can do is, again, if I click those 3 dots top right-hand side and I advanced features, so if I come up here and I click advanced task editor, I'm able to make these, instead of a dash, I can make them a box. So the team can come in here and say, I've done 2 of these 5 things. I'm ready to do the 3rd. And again, really helpful for seeing where you're up to in a job. But I also might want to take it up another level. I might want to say, I've sent the clients the documents and they're waiting to be sent back. So now I've labeled this job as to what stage I'm up to. I can see that from my work at a high level. The boss can see it again from the team view as well. But what does that email look like to a client? Great question. Thanks for asking. Let's have a look in the bookkeeping record here. So here's what the email looks like. And again, it's got my nice signature at the bottom there. Again, I populated with my name at the bottom of the email. Don't have to do that because the signature will pull through if you put it in your settings from Outlook or from Gmail. Here is the link to jump into the portal. I didn't put a password on it this time. I just want clients to send me not so eye sensitive data. It's not like I'm sending them something for their eyes only. It's just something for me to see. I've got my information in there regarding my business name and whatnot. Got about 4 million things in here. Let me have a look at something a little bit. Oh, cool. This is upload my license. So maybe I'm looking for AML information and I need a bit more check. There it is. I can send them a note. Is this the correct info? They don't have to do this if they don't want to. But what that effectively does is create an email trail. Where did that file go? Here it is, saved against the task and saved against the client record. the emails back and forth between myself and the client, again, amalgamated nicely into one. That's the email I sent the client. Dear Matt, send me your info. Here's the response the client gave me along with the attachment. Looks correct to me. I can steal your identity, haha. Right, so I'm going to send that back to the client. Now I've got a nice email trail, and that last email that I sent actually comes from my Outlook or my Gmail, and it will come up in my respective account as well. So I can see it on both of those. I can see it in Pixie, and I can see it in Outlook and Gmail. Perfect. If I wanted to add another team member, another question I get a lot is, how do I know what stage of the job I'm up to? Or if I'm going to reassign this to someone else, I want to let them know where I'm up to. You add a note in here. Something else that we do is one of two things. Again, adding a subtask or clicking edit description on the right-hand side here. I'm 3/4 through this. Whatever you like to do, make it bold, put it in highlight, save it. So your team can see, okay, I'm 3/4 through this task. Now the next person responsible for this, it might move up the chain. I'm going to click this reassign task button, top right-hand side. Now it's Meg's responsibility. It's going to her. She'll receive an email or a notification if she so chooses, depending on her settings, that this is now on her plate. I can also click that little bell icon, top right-hand side. And what I can do is I can see everything across the business, all of the tasks, all of the documents that have come to me. And I can see that as in there as well, which is really handy. If you're not wanting to continually get emails, I'm not a fan of that. I like to look in my account. I check it every half an hour or so. All right, lots of stuff covered already. We're doing very well. Let's move on to the bit more of the questions. So I'm gonna make sure I've ticked all these off. Is there an alarm function to remind you of a task that's due? Not at this stage, but we saw the overdue function come up here. It'd be great if Pixie would scream at you saying your work's due and shock you, but not quite. We don't want to do that. We've got this overdue button here, or that label that will appear if the due date goes past. So that's something that we can keep an eye on. That's a bit of a workaround for that one. Recurring tasks. Does the task also update future tasks? Awesome question. Sure does. So if we update a template, for example, I added a 4th subtask in there and I wanted to roll that out to my client base, but it was already scheduled across 20 clients. Those 20 clients from the next period onwards, so from April onwards, will get that 4th subtask and that new fresh template. So that's a really good question. Awesome. Okay, using deadline dates to set that up in work tab yet. How do we track workflow of another team member? Good question. Now, I'm not going to go through in chronological order and show you the reason why. I like to set up the background of my account before I bring in all my client data. I'll show you again a reason why. So emails sync correctly, and so we can assign them to the right staff and whatnot as well. I've only got one colleague at this stage. She's seriously lacking. 32 open tasks, 27 overdue. Okay, I probably need to jump on her case a bit. Maybe I've been giving her a few too many leave days. Why are these so far behind? If I click on her name, again, everything that's on her plate is a little bit clearer for me to see. We've got the same functionality as we had on our own work tab, the ability to move by dates, and the filter function as well. But another thing within this tab is this work report. Work report's awesome for seeing everything across the business in just a little bit more detail too. So this one was snoozed by Matt until the end of the month, and it's overdue. So slap on the wrist, Matt. I can see that you're doing that naughty, naughty. So that sort of thing, right? Coming in here, lots of yellow. I want to filter out all of the stuff that we're waiting on for clients. Okay, so the task owner is Matt, about to scrutinize you here. Task label is waiting for client. Whoa, 8 things, all but 1 are overdue that we have to get client info for, all right? So maybe I can assist Matt. He's been swamped this week, really high capacity, get on the phone, assist with this sort of workflow, right? And again, we can't save the filters from this tab, but what we can do is what we did on the original tab, save it as a new tab within our bookmark. Great question. What's the most powerful way to report teams in this? Okay, I reckon that's what we've just covered. Using the filter to go by due dates, to go by custom fields as well. Another good one is custom fields. So let me just expand on this a little further. I'm going to just remove this one here. So if I come into field and I scroll down, we've got the main fields that we see in the columns on the screen behind. But what about all these client fields? What does accountancy client and audit client and budget mean? These are all the fields that I've set up in my settings that I want to know a little bit more about for my clients. So when it comes to doing things like drilling down to maybe client specifics, all my agricultural clients are due at the end of the month, right? All my VAT clients, whatever it is, you can pull them up just by doing that filter. Same thing if we're sending a mass email. Maybe I want to email all of my clients that have a VAT due, but they've just had an extension from the government. And I just want to let them know. We can do that on mass as well by using the filter and the email feature in the next tab. All right. Okay, now we've had another couple of great questions regarding Zapier and integrations within Pixie. So I'm going to move across here to this integrations tab. We'll sort of talk about this for a couple minutes, but I don't want to dive into this too much because Jordan's created some fantastic resources, and they're all available in the chat, which I put in earlier. You can find some great videos related to Zapier and whatnot. But one of the first things I've got here is, does Zapier integrate with Liscio? That's an awesome question. I don't even know what Liscio is. So I'm going to just be really cheeky. Zapier, Liscio. Can't quite see that at this stage. So I'd say not, but what we can do is we can look in Zapier here, and they've got over 1,000 workflows that we can have a look from. So I highly recommend jumping in there and having a quick look for that. How to speed up onboarding from Go Proposal to a Gravity form or something like that. Awesome question. And that's something that the automation videos that Jordan's put out potentially have already covered. If they haven't, we can hopefully expand that a little bit more. Integration with Dex Precision. So Dex used to be Receipt Bank from memory. Yes, that absolutely goes from Zapier. So you can search for that. All you have to do is click into the Zap link here, activate Zapier, and you can jump in. You can create a free Zapier account as well, by the way. Just limited on the amount of the expansiveness in which you can actually create Zaps. If you pay, I think it's something like £7, $10, something like that a month. It's quite low. You can actually start to go about doing a bit more complex Zaps and multiple Zaps as well. What apps directly integrate with Zapier? Do you have templates already? Awesome question. So there are some really good Zaps that do go straight into Pixie. The most common ones I get would be Go Proposal, Practice Ignition, Google Drive, some sort of file storage system. But a lot of those file storages have actually been pulled into Pixie itself. So we're sort of bringing people off 3 or 4 different storage tools and amalgamating them into Pixie, which I think is really helpful. I don't think we've got a template as such, but we do have something pretty cool. This workflow template, something I mentioned before that I put in the resources chat. People within the industry who have got a really good Pixie template for workflow. So Amanda, for example, James, anybody in here, you can have a look through and you can filter by your region. You can filter by the specifics up here with any one of these buttons as well. So I highly recommend jumping into that and having a look. But again, if you've got some more detailed questions you want to know from us, one of 2 things. Have a look at our roadmap. That roadmap's only available for our active users. Ask it in the community. Bound to have other people who've asked that question and some really great minds in there to help. Or ask us the question as well, which if you haven't been able to find what you need, that's probably your last resort. Give us the question. Okay, good stuff. I'm just going to scroll my questions up a little bit. I think we're about halfway through them. That's great. Okay, a review of the most recent features. Now, actually, I'm going to do that now, but then I'll come back to the features at the end because Celso's on the line and I might have to pick his brains a little bit. But what we're going to do is have a look at the email tab next. But because you asked so nicely about the latest features, what I've done is I've come into my roadmap. I've filtered by complete. So these are the things that have been made by us or have been finished by us at this stage. We can also filter by the ones that are trending, the top, the ones that have been asked the most, things that are in progress, things that are planned, under review. So I'll leave that for you guys to jump in there and have a look in your own time. But there's some really cool things on the horizon. All right, let's have a look at our settings. I mean, I'm just going to stay in here for a little bit because this is pretty good to cover. Now, one of the things is integrated in Company's House. So I'm sorry to the US users on this call. This isn't so relevant for you. This is relevant for the UK-based users. What we can do is we can connect to Company's House and pull through our client data from there. Now, I'm going to systematically work through these tabs. This is something that you'll get a lot of help with in your onboarding. So if you do sign up from a trial, you get some help with onboarding, such as bringing across email signatures, which can be copied and pasted into your account, which is right here. These are those email preferences I was talking about before. So if you don't want to get bombarded with who's uploaded the most recent document, who's reassigned work to you, what have you got that's overdue, keep clicking on this bell icon in the top right-hand side. It'll give you everything you need to see there. Email integration, it's exactly the same as if we click on the email tab, it will prompt us to connect to Outlook or Gmail. If you need to change your email integration, clearly this is a mock account. I've just added one and created off scratch, but maybe that's my personal and I need to change to my work-related one. You have to do one of two things. So if you're in your Gmail or your Outlook, I know this works for Outlook, log out of your Outlook account, disconnect from Pixie, and then reconnect. It will then give you the option to pick one of your other accounts. So if you just disconnect and you're in your personal, but you haven't logged out of it on the other end, it'll just keep coming back to your personal, right? You're going around in circles. Don't do that. Log out of both, disconnect, reconnect, and away you go. Task labels. I had a really great chat with someone earlier this week about how we can optimize the use of these. Now, I've seen some people with some incredibly complex versions of this. That again scares me. I'm not super keen on heaps of colors, but I like to try and make it clear for myself and easy on the team. So let's say the team comes in and they don't actually know the order of these, because this is alphabetizing it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add numbers in here, because if I add numbers in, well, let's just make this let's make that one 3, and I save that, it'll actually put them in numerical order. Makes it a little easier on yourself and on the team about what's most important when it comes to working through a piece of work. Templates. Here are the really good pre-built templates that we've already done. Now, if you don't see something in there that you want, again, ask in the community or have a look at our workflow template library page. Probably a lot of good stuff in there we can have a look at. We just download from the workflow template page, import from here. Now it's going to be in a Pixie file format, not a CSV or something else that you've seen. It'll be .pixie. So it only is compatible with this software. Now, when it comes to building templates, we can do a lot of things. And I recommend using one that we've already built and changing it to your firm specifics. Now, the reason why I'd say that is because it minimizes mistakes and it speeds up the process. So again, if I have a weekly and a monthly bookkeeping template, I'm not going to recreate a weekly one by adding in all the tasks. I'm going to fly over here to the right-hand side, hover over these 3 dots and click clone template. All I'm going to do is change the name, change the frequency, and most likely we're having the same things that we need to complete for that client on a weekly basis. We can add a few more and we're safe. It takes us 2 seconds instead of 10 minutes. Now, if you've got a really fantastic workflow and you want to share it with someone, click the share button. We can go about exchanging them however you need to, email or whatever it may be. But let's stir up some chat in the community. I'm sure there's some fantastic workflow templates that I haven't seen that I would really like to, and other people here who would benefit from those. So I'm sure we can get some stuff shared there on the community page. Again, get help button at the top, community. Perfect. I'm going to click into one of these. I'm going to do a little bit of expansiveness. So I've got some fantastic people that I've either demoed to or in my client list. All of these clients need this work. I'm just going to toggle them on, click schedule. I can then set up the frequency from my template. Maybe I've already done that. It's going to just go ahead and start that work for all those clients. That's how easy it is to get work out the door. But who's responsible for that work and how do they set up the frequency? In this example, all that work's going to the person who looks after the client. Now, if you've got multiple bookkeepers, I'd suggest adding Matt as the assignee, then copying the template, adding Meg as the assignee. But that's probably the best thing to do for now. But I like to just have it as client manager, person responsible for the client gets that work. We got some flexibility when it comes to dates, but I like to look at this date field. Now, this is the example here. So we want to set up for maybe clients with VAT dates or VAT year ends or confirmation statements. These here are pulling through from my settings. And to get more of them available, I'll show you how we can set that up. So it only pulls through date fields, doesn't pull through numbers, yes, no answers, or text. Okay. We can set up recurring frequencies. So of course, if this is quarterly, I just add every 3 months and away we go. Perfect. I cancel that for now, but that's just the example there. Client types, really fantastic for separating not only your clients that you've got that are active, but prospects, leads, clients that you've won, clients that you've lost. You can add those in there as well. As you can see, I've got prospects and client lost. I can mark them in my client list and I can filter them out from my respective client. Client fields, these are all the things that I want to see, right? I want to house heaps of info from my clients. Maybe I'm pulling it out of an existing system. Maybe I've got the world's best spreadsheet. Let's get it all into Pixie, right? Are they an accountancy client? I have a choice to say yes, no, text, number, or date. So this date, that's where the field can be picked up when we look in our templates. Hence why I can only see things like corporation date, confirmation statement date. This is in date format. If you want a unique date, make it a unique format, put it in date, and you can pull it through on a template. All of this stuff here is the example that I can populate client data for, which I'll get to in a minute. The reason I'm building it before I import my client data or building it before I start making changes is so it's already there and I can just add to it. Same with contact fields, exactly the same as the client fields, except for the individuals or the contacts of those companies or those partnerships, whatever it may be. Space settings. Something that I see a lot of people forget to do is add this logo, put your business logo, put your face in there, whatever you need to do. So if you exchange documents to a client, like we saw from that portal before, it's got a really nice professional look to it. And also something down here, select hour of the day to send auto emails. We don't want to be bombarding our clients with emails at 4 a.m. in the morning. That seems a bit sus. I like to do it at 8:39. So when it comes from you automatically, it still has that nice touch to it. They're not thinking this is clearly an automatic email, just something to be aware of. Integrations we covered before with Companies House and Zapier, and then billing on the right-hand side, which is how you set up your account. All right, let's jump into emails. So I've got a great couple of questions related to emails, and I'm going to work through them now. Is it possible to save draft emails in Pixie? Great question. Unfortunately, not at this stage. So that is a question that a feature that you can request rather from our roadmap. Can I have an automated email template with the link to upload files to occur weekly? Yeah, great question. So again, that can be done within our settings, and I'll dive into the task templates a little bit later on because I've got some best practice scenario I want to just run by you. But again, I'll come back to that one. Do I need to regularly sync my emails to Pixie? Nope, that should automatically come through. But if you wanted to give them a push, again, click into settings, email integration, and where I explained the disconnect before, you can click the refresh button next to that, and it can just give a little push along. How to best manage emails in Pixie? All right, good question. We've got a couple of subtasks, or I suppose not folders as such, but they're additional inboxes, I like to call them. So I've got my priority inbox here. Now, the reason why I synced my emails up after I put my client list in, so all my emails go into those clients, and it's a little easier on me because it's going to prioritize them. Notice how I've got 31 priority emails and 5 other. So these priority emails are coming through from clients that are giving me information or are in my client list. As you can see, Matt, super needy client. He's just come in with email after email relating to bookkeeping. I don't want to look at his emails anymore. So I'm just going to hit the delete thread. That's going to move them out of my inbox here to my trash on the right-hand side. I can always recover those, pull them back into my inbox if I want to. Those emails will still be attached to the client record. If you don't want them in the client record, click into the client record, emails, delete them from there. Now, why does this email have the option to create a task? Because this email is something new and isn't pinned to an open task already. So if I click into it, maybe I want to assign this to a task. Maybe this client's been really proactive and given me the information in advance. Pretty rare, but it happens. I can click create task from email on the left. On the right-hand side, I can log this email to a different client. Maybe this client has 3 or 4 companies. They have the same email address. You want to just move it somewhere else, you can do that. Or you can add an email from the right-hand side. Again, up to you. Maybe this piece of work came in from you or for you to one of your team members, not so relevant for your workload. Click this reassign button here. It'll push it to your colleague's inbox, okay? You can also respond to clients straight away from within this inbox too. It's just like the email thread we showed within the task. But if I click create task from email, it's now linked it up the top there. What if I don't want it to say bookkeeping, or what if I want to change it? Again, right-hand side, I can remove this email from the task, or I can reassign it to a different task. The task has to be open for you to do that. And if I click on the actual link, I've now jumped into this particular task. Pretty bland. There's not any of my nice checklists to add to it. It doesn't say the thing I want it to say. It should actually say bookkeeping records for Matt. Again, I can change that on the top left at any time. And I want to add some more subtasks to this. Again, right-hand side, apply existing template or make some changes yourself. Perfect. Now let's do a little quick way to get into the client record. And that is done by clicking right-hand side of the client. I've now gone straight into that particular client. And as you can see, all the information surrounding Matt. Pretty needy guy. As you can see, don't call him before 10 a.m. because he hasn't had his coffee. I've pinned that note so all my team can come in here and say, don't talk to an agitated Matt first thing in the morning, email him, call him later in the day, something like that. So what I did was I added that in as a note on the right-hand side here. You can have many notes in there, but I just like to pin the most relevant one to the front. Client contact information. So Matt is apparently the big boss, but as we can see here, his girlfriend's the real big boss. So you can add the information in there that you need. Emails, phone numbers, whatnot. You can send emails straight from here. You can also adjust. So maybe I send Matt all the emails, but Meg needs to be CC'd on them because she really makes the decisions. Click these three dots, CC in order emails, okay? You can also make her the priority, which probably she should be. So she's now got the star next to her name, right? All the information surrounding Matt, such as open tasks, client tasks, scheduled tasks, can all be seen up here in the top as well. At a glance, we can see that Matt's super needy, 32 open tasks. Maybe we go ahead and clear a few of those off. But again, I wanted to see all the information regarding Matt in his client record. We can see as an individual. If I click the pencil on any side of these, I can then change. So these are options that I picked up from my settings before. He might be a prospect. He might be a client that I no longer want. Again, I can change those at any time. This piece of wording up here, master code for secure files, this is the link for your clients to open the email when we exchange documents or something like that before. So as you can see, I've made that name or that word a lot easier to remember. Foxy, that's my surname or my nickname for my surname. It will pre-populate 4 or 5 random words when you come into your client record. Click edit code, make it something more manageable. And a lot of people have asked, what's the best process for that? I reckon or recommend doing birthdays, name of the client, your business name, something simple that they can remember, but you don't have to continually remind them about. And another good question is, how do I get them that information if I've sent them an email with the portal? So again, where I highlighted or made that bold text before, underneath you can say your password is in this format. It's your birthday, DD/month/year, something like that. A bit like if you've ever received a payslip from Xero, that kind of thing. Really smart idea to do it all in one, making it a little easier on your clients instead of bombarding them with heaps of emails or having to call them. Again, these custom fields are where we set up in our settings. We've got heaps and heaps of options to tag clients with. As I can see here, if I expand on those fields, it only shows me the fields that I've got data in for. I might have 50 or 60, maybe more client custom fields. I don't want to see them all because that's just going to be scrolling forever. I prefer to only see the info that I've got, relevant information in there for. So I'm getting a dog next month. His name's Moose. So I'm going to add that in there for this client because I think he's a great guy and I want to know everything about it. So now we can see Moose is the first thing that's going to catch my attention along with the most relevant information for this client. Year-end date. Well, he was a prospect for AML back in the day. His phone number is ABC, whatever. Okay. Again, client manager. This is who's responsible for this client. And this is who was going to come through on that template I built before. Brilliant. Let's have a look at our list a little bit more broadly. I've got 43 clients. I've taken on a few lately. That's pretty cool. Again, sorry to the US customer base here because this isn't so relevant for you. But if I click this add from company's house and I search, I don't know, see if that's even an option. Cool. There is the example. So it will populate the top 10 matches. In this example, there's only one. I can add that client. That client will pull through a multitude of things. For example, let me see if this one here is an option. Let me go down to Poma. Cool. Let's do that one there. All right, Poma. So that was what Pixie used to be called. I added this from company's house. So on the left-hand side, we've got the client contact, which came straight through from company's house. And we've got all these dates and all these relevant fields. This link will take me straight back into company's house. So it's giving me the year-end date, company incorporation date, confirmation statement date, and registration number. Pretty handy to know. You can also add in a lot of other fields there as well. And as you can see, this master code for secure files makes absolutely no sense. But that's why we can change that word to something a little bit more manageable. Perfect. Now, what if we've got our client list in and we realize there's a mistake? Importing the client list can be pretty easy to get it right. So again, let me show you an example of this. So I've got a client list here. This is the format that Pixie will give you when you go to import. So these orange and yellow tabs are the things that we recommend or put information in for. All these gray tabs, there's custom fields. So that's why I create custom fields first, and I export my client list, which doesn't exist because I haven't got anything in there yet. Then I can populate all the data to the relevant information. I can make sure all my columns align and all the information's tied up to the right place. But what if I need to make a mass change? What if this client manager, Matt, isn't actually assigned or is incorrectly assigned on mass? I don't want to go through one at a time. I want to do this a bit quicker. I click filter on the right-hand side, and I'm going to filter for client type is limited companies. All these limited companies are the most common thing that I check on a daily basis. I can save that filter. This is the filter save tab. That's where we can do it. But I also want to do something more. All of my limited companies have got a month extension. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click into here and I'm going to send them all a new email. I can do that from any of these. So I can filter for my prospects. Maybe I want to hit them with some marketing. Maybe I want to, all my VAT clients. I can search for custom fields. Again, all my agricultural clients, I can hit them with a specific email if I wanted. Okay. But I want to do something more. I want to change the manager from myself to Meg. So I'm going to click update property here, select the field, client manager is no longer Matt, move it to Meg. If I click update, Meg will become the manager for all of these clients. So that's again how you can do a lot of quick things en masse. We can start new tasks for client straight off the bat. We can grab a template. We can schedule tasks for a client straight off the bat, again from a template. I want to update some information, maybe something from my custom fields. Oh, okay, let's have a look, like industry. So maybe I'm not going to change that. Maybe I'm going to filter that. So I'm going to filter for something that's completely random. Dog's name, I updated that to Moose before, right? So if I update this filter, there's that client that has the dog name Moose, it's mine. That's how we can use the filter for specifics. So if you want to bring up all your VAT clients that are due next month, do it that way. Just make sure you got the right data within your client record to start with. All right, let's go back into our emails up here, questions rather. Cool. We just did the merge, like the equivalent of like a mail merge, so how we can go about sending bulk emails. That will only be one email at a time to each client. So don't think that they'll be CC'd or BCC'd. That's not the case. Individual emails to individual people. How do we quickly clear out emails? When I deleted my in Gmail, didn't update in Pixie, do it from Pixie. So Pixie will update the corresponding info in Outlook or Gmail. So again, if we complete or delete something from our Pixie inbox, it will only archive on our other software. So we can always find it again. Now, if you connect your Pixie account and you realize that I've got so many emails in the last 30 days that I can't cope with life right now, what I recommend is letting us know. We can archive everything in Pixie for you. So you can start from a clean slate, okay? It will not change anything in your Outlook. It will not change anything in your Gmail. It will just give you a clean starting point from Pixie. All those emails will still be aligned to the client records, but they won't be in your inbox. So it's a little bit more manageable. Okay, awesome. Can we auto send emails to clients? Yes, we can. I want to show you a little bit more about that in the template soon. Is it possible to file emails once they've been read and dealt with? Good question. At this stage, we don't have that compatibility. So what I recommend is completing or deleting, and you can see them in those subsections. Add that to the roadmap. Good question. What's the best way to configure automatic emails? Yep, again, that sort of thing where we can grab them all like I've shown on this screen, mass sending emails. Okay, now we're up to best practice section. Awesome. Okay, what's the best practice for recurring tasks? All right, let's dive into that template again. Task that I chose before. Come on into it, don't let me down. Edit template, bottom left-hand side. I'm gonna move across to here. So I've got three things that I need to do. One was send an email. Two was do the work internally, and I had 4 or 5 checklist points in there, which I wanted again to show you how we can make them neat for the team. And then a third email or second email, third subtask to send that information off to the client. Let's go ahead and actually build this out a little bit more. So the email subject heading should actually be bookkeeping records needed. So I can just adjust this here and I never have to worry about doing it again. It's only going to be done once. Now, this is the option I talked about before. Do we want this to go as soon as we start the task with the client and send them an email? We can, if we know that that wording is correct and we're happy with it. We can make this an automatic email. I just like to make it manual for my own sanity. Instructions, that's where we can make sure we have all the tick points for our clients. We can add in deadlines as well. When I said tick points for clients, I meant tick points for staff. Now, here we go. Dear contact first name. How do we get this funky piece of text here? It's called a placeholder. And these placeholders are coming from all the information that we have in Pixie. So client names, nicknames, all of those custom fields that we saw before, dates. And if I type the word secure, there's that unique link, which will auto-populate for every client when you get to send the email en masse. So if you're looking for a portal exchange, do that. That's how I got that long list, that long line of text before, so our clients could upload their data for me. And again, I've just populated it here. You can even highlight that. Again, similar sort of thing, come across here, highlight that orange so they know what it's looking like. Cool. All right, I'm going to remove my surname from the end of there, not necessary. But that's how we go about doing a lot of compatibility in creating emails off the cuff. Let's click down to instructions. So I've created this as an instruction and I've added a subtask to create this. How do I get these little checkboxes? I came down here and I added a to-do list. All right, so making those a to-do list. If you're stuck on something like this, make sure you untick the to-do list first before adding in the checkpoint and vice versa. So that's how you go about that. But I want to make sure my team does this within a week. So I can call this a deadline, then add in an internal deadline 7 days after the task starts. I'm going to drag, whoops, from the left-hand side, drag that up. So I'm giving the team 7 days to complete this bookkeeping, right? So it's, again, a little internal check mark. And you can have as many of those in as you want. Maybe making sure the team's prompted 1 day after this task starts to make sure they've sent that email. So how do I do that? Subtask, deadline, send email, 1 day, dragging it underneath my task, saving it. So now I'm going to get a notification to say, make sure you've sent that email a day later if I haven't already. Now, if I send that before the deadline, both of these will check themselves off as green and mark them as complete. And we'll move straight on to the instructions. So that's really handy. Okay, I'm going to save that template because I like it. All right, now I can start it new and add it to a whole bunch of clients if I want, but I'm just going to close it for now. Good questions nonetheless. Recurring tasks. Best practice on emails, yeah, we've done that. Best workflow practice, email management, general advice on best practice, general training. Okay, if you've got a lot of questions like this, please look at our resources. And you've got us, if you have a last resort and you can't find what you need, you can always talk to us. Emails, how does Pixie work? How to get the most out of Pixie. Again, if and when you sign up from a trial, you'll get some onboarding training with myself or someone else from the team. And we'll really go through all of this stuff with you. Show you best practice, identify any errors, making sure that you're on track for success. So we'll set you up quickly. And we can do it on your time frame. If you want to get it done within a week or two, make sure you do that. Or you can get it done. We're trying to do it within a month. Interested in how other people use the software? That's a great question. So again, please just use the community chat. Someone just start something, start a chat, get in there and just help each other out. That'd be really helpful for us as well, because we really want to make sure that your user experience is fantastic. Moving from a different provider. So that's the sort of thing that we can offer as well. If you're in trial and you're looking to come on to Pixie and you want to know a bit more about moving from X, Y, and Z, you're a little bit confused about the client import side of things and you want to make sure your data's nailed down. If you sign up to an annual plan with us, you get an additional training. So instead of just the 3 onboardings, you get a 4th team training or whatever you'd like to use that hour for. Could be just a Q&A. And in that period, maybe even beforehand, will help you import your client data. So get the client data into the spreadsheet that we provide, and we'll help align everything so it looks correct. Okay, so that's another service that we can help with. What are the best steps to follow to getting in on Pixie? Again, looking at that video that I first sent in the chat, really, really helpful. CRM workflow tips. All right, awesome. I think we've covered all of that. I just want to go back up here to the features. A review of the most recent features. Okay, we've already ticked that one off. What are we able to assign a task to 2 different people? Unfortunately, not at this stage. Great question. That's something that hopefully we'll get to in the future. Please continue to bump that up the to-do list in our roadmap. Can we have the facility added within emails to sort by recipient? Again, sorting is a great question. It's something that's been asked. Please keep adding that. How do you link clients, directors of companies, shareholders, and spouses? Okay, good question. So at this stage, we don't have the ability to group clients, for example, but you could create a custom field and you call that custom field like this. Let's go client field. You could call this, let's just whip to the bottom. Client group. I'm going to save that. Okay. Now let's go into a client and use this as an example. Okay, this client here. This might be one of many, director, and you got 4 dormant companies or something. All right. Client group is going to be Fox Group. Yeah, that's my surname. That's my group. I wish I had heaps of companies. That's pretty cool. But there's an example 1. Let's go down to, I'm definitely in this group. Client group, Fox Group, update. Now, again, this filter is really underutilized and something that's pretty powerful. New condition, field. Let's have a look. So I'm going to zip down here, alphabetical. Look for client group is Fox Group, apply that filter. There's my group. So those 2 clients are part of a group. So if you wanted to make sure you've got that field as an option, search for the respective group. That's how you can pull up information a little quicker when it comes to having multiple companies, partnerships, and people. How to handle subtasks that need to be done by multiple team members. Again, good question. Being able to assign subtasks to multiple people, not something that we're doing at the moment. And I guess one of the reasons is we don't want to make it really convoluted. You can get lost when you're starting to reassign heaps of work, or maybe like the first 20% is done by staff member A and the next 20 is to the staff member B, and you're just like, where are we up to in the job? It's better to just reassign the whole thing, leave a note or 2, move it back. That's in our eyes anyway, but again, everyone works differently. Is there a way to hide clients from team members, or they just see it all? At this stage, there's 2 permission levels, which is a great point to lead me into. Here, I'm the workspace admin in this example. So I have access to everything, all the settings, all the client records. Meg is an employee. She has the ability to see everything, but she can't create things in the settings like I can. So if I like to create some of those really great templates, she can just use them, right? So it's just a settings permission thing. Is there a way to save specific searches on jobs? Again, I think that's saving filters. So that's something that we're looking into in the future. But again, save the URL. Is there a way you cannot see archive clients when you search? Good question. If you accidentally delete like a template or archive a template or something like that, just talk to us in the get help button and be like, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. We can refresh it for you. When we're going to have a link between directors and companies, yeah, good question. That's again, we can do the group, the setting. Modify a recurring template for one client. Does it modify the original? It can be used across all clients. Yep. So again, if we make a change, adding a 4th task in, saving it in our template, and it's set up to recur across 20 clients, from the next period, it will become the new one. Cool. Good questions. I think we've nailed it. Literally covered all those questions. Now, I've seen a lot come through in the chat. I think Celso's been onto it. But what I might do is just have a quick read of them. Celso, did you want to jump in and add anything to what we've spoken about today? I've kind of just flown through it all. But
sorry, I was literally just writing the response on the Q&A. I guess that, Matt, I see the tab there, and I was just kind of wondering if you'd be keen to give us an overview about the integration with Zama and about the AML functionality.
Yeah, awesome. Good question. Again, if we click here into the settings, we come across here to integrations. Through Zapier, this wicked tool in the middle, we can connect to AML. So I've got a tab for Zamatech open here. So Zamatech's one of our partners that does that AML functionality. So we've got a new client onboarding template, which kind of ties into Zama nicely. When you're requesting things like licenses, passports, you guys know the deal. You can go ahead and use Zama. So they've got their pricing on here, and they will also do a bit of a one-to-one, like I've been doing for demos and things like that. Jacques, who runs Zamatech, will be able to help you with this integration. It's his ballpark, it's his game. I'm not super on top of it, but I do know my way around it. So again, sign up for a free trial. Again, I think it's within here. You can sign up or log in, and you can get a demo with Jacques around this sort of thing. And if you're keen on pricing, the pricing's here. I might just show it and leave the screen on for a minute. I'll just zip down to the bottom. There it is. So I'll leave that on there for a second. Celso, was there another question you wanted to cover off?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that we discussed internally in the past as well. Can you give us some ideas around creating daily recurring tasks in Pixie?
Oh, that's a good question. Daily recurring. Gee, that's pretty keen. Are you keen to, how much work do you want on your plate, Celso?
Not too much, please.
Yeah, right. Okay. That's actually a really good question. Celso, did you want to give me a bit of an overview about how we can go about doing that? And maybe I can run the scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, because there isn't the ability to repeat the task daily, what we generally recommend is to clone the template. So if you go there into settings and then the task templates, let's say that you have a bookkeeping that would like to run daily, then you can clone that and just say, okay, let's run this, say, on the Monday. Yeah, exactly like that. And then saying there that it repeats weekly. The daily option isn't available. And then should just change on the name for me, please, Bookkeeping Monday. And another advantage of splitting these tasks, so you'll need to clone this for each of the weekdays. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, da, da, da. One nice side effect of doing this as well is that you can allocate the client specific date of the week. So say that you work with us and you do our bookkeeping, and you'd like to, or we agreed to do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then you can pick these two separate days of the week to perform the task. And that would be a workaround the limitation of the fact that it's not possible to repeat the task basis.
Nice, good example. So there's Monday, there's Tuesday, and that's how we go through and make it a daily thing. So if I assign that to like myself, or rather I create a one-off piece of work just to remind myself to check in with my colleagues every day to see how they're going, I can do that as well. But also with this, if I'm going across bookkeeping Monday for all my clients and it's something that I really need to do, something that I get is daily receipt bank transactions, right? Or not receipt bank, DEX transactions. We can do that as well. So that's the sort of thing where you can create those daily pieces of work. Doesn't take long to do it once and then just duplicate it.
Whilst I have you on this task template, so we have one question here about sharing templates with the community. Can you run us through that?
Oh, good question. Hope I haven't spoken too soon. Well, let's jump into the community page here. What we would do within the task itself, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump back into that template. I shouldn't have gone that quick. What we do across here is we just hover on the right-hand side and we click share. Now, what we can do is it will come up here with the public link. So if I wanted to copy this link, you can also download this template, jump back into the community. Maybe I want to add in a question. Anyone got a better template than this, right? You can add that in, or check this out. There's your detail, something like that, and you can paste it, right? And away you go. So people can see that. But I guess it's more, just be mindful of what you're sharing here and try and make it as good and as appropriate as possible, I suppose.
Yeah, also this link also can be used outside of the Pixie community. So if you're getting some feedback, or if you're looking for some feedback because you're a member of a coaching group or something like that, and you'd like folks to give you some input on how you're structuring your templates, you can share these into those communities as well, and they will have access to the template.
Nice, good point.
So the one final question that we have, Matt, and I appreciate you just staying over a bit longer. One of the questions that I have is how to obtain documents from clients with the client uploads.
Oh, right. Good question. It might have been something I zipped over before. Let's just let's go back into that example I did before. Gosh, I've got a lot going on here. That's right. Let's just create one here. Just gonna assign this and have it done by tomorrow. I know Stelso is really good at giving me information and getting back to me. So what I'm going to do is keep it on a quick deadline. But I don't want to create anything off the bat for him. I'm just going to click client tasks. I'm hoping I'm on the right track here. But what I can do is I can request information from Stelso quite specific. So I need all your passwords. I need all your identities. No, I don't know, whatever, anything. Request it and then say send to the client. It's pre-written a piece of info. As we saw here, I actually made Meg the primary contact in my settings. So it's overwritten her from Meg to Matt, and it's sending it to Meg as well. There's the unique link. Now this link each and every time has a password on it. I'm going to set up an auto reminder to go every day, I suppose, because Celso is going to have this done for me tomorrow. And then I can send this off to him. I can also attach something if I want, but I'm going to send that. Celso now has to put the particular info in there, and it's exactly the same preview as we saw before with the last portal that I sent. It's just they've got to put that word in that we created from the client file. If we were previewing it from Celso's side, it looked very much like this. He'd be able to tick off the pieces of work that he's done. He'd be able to attach files, and you as the accountant, bookkeeper, business owner, you can talk to Celso here on the right-hand side, and you can liaise as well. So did that answer the question?
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely a way. You already showed us as well the secure upload link. So both these options can be used to collect information from the client. The final thing that I have here is to assign a task to a section of staff, like bookkeeping. I think that this is more about subtask assignments. Did you cover this already?
I did something in the task templates where if you've got multiple bookkeepers, for example, maybe you've got 3 outsourced bookkeepers and they have a specific group of clients, but the client manager is someone else. You can create 3 templates, create one, assign it as that bookkeeper A, clone it bookkeeper B, clone it bookkeeper C. So you can just go ahead and assign tasks en masse from the template. That's one way of doing it. Is it possible to assign a task to a section of staff? I guess this is like the subtask question we asked before. It's either the whole task you assign or only or none at all. So at this stage, you can't sort of subtask assign number 1. So I'm going to send the email. My colleague Celso is going to process the bookkeeping, and then it's going to come back to me to send to the client. Not at this stage. It's either the whole thing goes from me to Celso or Celso back to me.
Yeah. I just wanted to add something on that because I've seen this come up a few times in the past as well, about the assigning subtasks to different members. And I know that you already touched that, but just to clarify where we're coming from ultimately, I've had the opportunity to discuss this with hundreds of Pixie clients. And typically, one of the main reasons why everyone chooses Pixie tends to be to feel less overwhelmed with the tasks. And the reason is that Pixie is the only system out there that doesn't manage things at the subtask level. And this is really important for us. So it's highly unlikely, this is just to set the right expectation, it's highly unlikely that we'll ever allow subtasks to be assigned. However, what we're looking for, we feel is going to be a much needed solution and a more collaborative one as well, which is having the ability to assign a task to multiple people. So for example, the thing that Matt has here right now, it's assigned to him only. However, we want to make it possible to assign this to multiple team members. And as they complete their work, they can just disassign themselves from the task. And ultimately, there's going to be one person that is responsible. There's always going to be one person that is responsible for ensuring that the whole thing gets delivered and nothing falls through the cracks. So hopefully you'll understand where we're coming from, and hopefully we'll be able to show you the results of that thinking as well at some point in the future. That was pretty much all the Q&A I had, Matt. Any parting comments?
Yeah, thanks for that, Celso. That was a good overview. I mean, pretty keen to see where Pixie ends up. It's a pretty fun ride so far. Good question from Tom's come through about a timer. I'll jump back in there a second. But what we've got here is if you'd like to leave us a review, the first 100 reviews we get, you can receive a $20 gift card, which is really great. So I've put that link there in the chat, and it will come through to you at the end as well via email along with the recording. Let me jump back into here for Tom. This start timer, good eyes. What I did was I skipped over this because this is an integration on, I've got it as a Google Chrome extension. So what this is Clockify. So if I click on that, I can start a timer. So I've got a free Clockify subscription, and I think Celso's integrated it here. We can add things like projects. So if you've got some timekeeping, timesheet work you need to do and tags, I haven't really done too much of this. So I'm going to click done. And if I open up my Clockify, I can see how productive in this example, not productive at all, have I been this week. And I can see what I'm tracking here. So it's 26, 27, 28 seconds. This is just going away and I'm doing that work in the background, right? So I can stop this at any time. And if I come back into my Pixie account and I forget to stop the timer at the top, start another piece of work, it will automatically stop that timer and start the new work for me as well. You can always override the time in here too. So if I stop that and I realize I did way more than 46 seconds, you can manually adjust. This is a pretty cool tool. All right, I think we've covered off everything there, everyone. Thanks for the questions. Can't see any more that are open or anything coming through in the chat. I know I've talked a lot. You're probably pretty bored of hearing my voice, as am I. But thank you, time. Also for joining as well. We'll send this recording through unless you've got something else to say before we finish. Thanks everybody for attending.
Yep, yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to participate and go through the frequent questions with us. Really enjoy this. I see us doing this more frequently. So yeah, if you have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to reach out. Also, feel free to reach out to Matt if you'd like to get the demo of Pixie. Not a customer yet. Otherwise, I wish you all a very happy weekend, and we're all looking forward to working with you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.